Hi everyone, welcome. We're gonna wait a little bit until people arrive. It's 11 a.m., so this is the official starting time, but we're gonna wait for another minute or two until everybody arrived. Hi everyone, I'm Julia. Welcome to this webinar, our first webinar of the year. And before we get started, get comfortable, grab a coffee, and while you're doing that, just drop us a note in the comments from where you're dialing in so we can see um, where people are coming from. That's gonna be really, really cool. I really love to see how international, hopefully, we are here today. So let's see where people are coming from. All right. Hampus. So before we start, I would like to introduce obviously also our two panelists today, Anna from Book Boost. Say a little hello, Anna.
Hello.
Yeah, you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, sure. I can do it already now when we are waiting for more participants to join. My name is Anna, as Julia mentioned, and I work at BookBoost, which is a hospitality experience platform that unifies guest data and empowers communication via multi-channel CRM and a unified inbox to drive personalization at scale. I'm very happy to be here today, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Perfect. And then Hampus, our puppet master today.
Hi everyone. Hi, I'm Hampus. I work for the Hotels Network, helping hotels bring better direct booking strategies really throughout the Nordic region. And Anna mentioned personalization. I think this is going to be a great topic for today. So yeah, over to you, Julia, and we can get started.
Perfect. Hampus, maybe you can see where our participants are coming from, because I cannot currently. Maybe you can drop us some info of where people are dialing in from.
No responses as of yet.
Oh, wow. Okay. Everybody is shy today. Okay. So if you just joined, drop us a quick note of where you're dialing in from, get comfortable, and we will start right now with our two participants, Anna from Book Boost and Hampus from the Hotels Network. So today we're going to talk about something that every hotel deals with, even if they don't always see what's happening in real time. And it's about lost bookings. It's something that yeah, we don't like to talk, we don't like to see, but it's happening. So lost bookings, they come from guests getting distracted, in my opinion, and what I see. I call it digital ADHD. So people or guests are visiting your website, they check prices, they look at rooms, and sometimes something pulls them away, like a cute kitty video on Instagram or a friend WhatsApping or whatsoever, or they stay with you. They have a super great experience, and then they never hear back from you again, or you hear back from them. So, and this basically all adds up. That revenue drifts up away. It's slipping through the cracks, slipping through your fingers, and in different moments through the entire guest journey, right? So here is where I think our panelists can help and see how we can fix that in the future. So before we start dialing into or going into the questions, I have also one poll prepared for our audience to get you also included in this conversation. So you should see the poll popping up in a second on your screen. So the question is, in your hotel, where do you feel you're losing the most potential revenue today? Is it A, the website visitors not really booking, guest booking but not upgrading, missed upsell opportunities during the entire stay, or potentially guests leaving and not coming back even like without even booking? So quickly choose whatever you think is for you. And then we'll see how we're doing. Hampus, you let us know once we have our votes in.
Yes, they are
Yeah,
still coming. So let's give the
perfect.
audience a little bit more time.
Yes,
Just
yes,
here.
yes. Think about it. Visitors on the website, they're not booking, guests leaving without not coming back, even though they stayed with you. Guest booking, but not really upgrading.
All
So let's
right.
see what the results are.
I think we have a result. So
Oh
let's
wow.
dive in.
That's very, yeah, that's what I actually thought it's gonna be. Website visitors not booking. I think that's a huge deal that yeah, we're getting into. And I think this is also the main reason why you actually came today to this webinar. So let's start and dive right back in. I think these drop-off moments are quite heavy for everyone, and I've been there too. I've been there too. So, first question to you, Hampus, then seeing this result, what are actually the most common drop-off moments you see on the websites of your customers? Where do people actually really bounce? Where they say, okay, I'm out?
Yeah, so let's talk about direct conversion then. The short answer, I would say, is the landing page and price comparison moment.
Mhm.
But I will turn it a little bit because reality is where the hotels put their focus. So many times when I speak to hotels, the story is quite similar. We will rebuild our website, so that's the focus. New design, new agency, big investment, all of this, it launches, and yeah, it's great. The website conversion might increase a little, but this will be your new benchmark. So let's say you took your conversion from 2% to 3%. Your conversion will stay at 3%. So what you need is personalization tools to keep moving the bar higher and higher. You can't just stop on that 3%. So the fact is a guest lands on the website with one question. The question is simple. Is this the right place for me right now? And should I book right this very moment? So simply, the website doesn't respond to you, and it's static. So most hotels' website they don't interact with the guest as you want them to. They don't adapt in real time to who the guest is, what they're looking for, or where they are simply in the decision process. So everyone sees the same content, the same message, the same flow, you name it. There's often no personalization to meet the demand of the guest. And this is crucial because this is where most direct bookings are lost. And where do they go? They go to booking.com,
Yes.
who in fact are using personalization and conversion tools. So you need to do the same. You need to do the same.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. I like this is I think the main reason for exactly that happening, right? You go on the website and something happens there that you're like, this is kind of icky. And I go to booking.com where I feel comfortable. I know exactly how fast it is and like how it would work and how I get what I actually want and need. Yeah, absolutely. So that brings me actually then to the next. So once we discovered this now, but then there was also kind of like a hip hop when you do the reservation. So let's imagine we did the reservation. So when we do the reservation, what are the moments that hotels often miss and they could drive more revenue and create a better experience, but they don't, Anna? Do you know like what do you think is that?
Yeah, I would say after a booking is confirmed, many hotels unintentionally go quiet, and that can create several missed moments where both revenue and the guest experience could have been improved. So let's focus and take a few examples. In the pre-stay phase, for example, guests are excited and planning their stay, but many hotels only send a confirmation email. That is a missed chance to capture preferences and set expectations, while intent is still high. So smart pre-stay messaging can turn nice to have services into booked revenue. And when this is handled well, it will not only increase revenue, but also lower front desk pressure later in the guest journey.
I absolutely agree. And I actually had an experience just like 2 weeks ago. I booked a nice apartment hotel in Switzerland to stay for an event. And it was all automated. And I received the confirmation, pre-stay, pre-check-in, etc., etc. But then I arrived and I didn't know how to get into the hotel. There was no information about that. And they had a QR code on the door hanging. If you have any issues, please call this number. So I called, I went through this computer process. I had to dial in all my information yet again. And then they gave me the code for the door and I could enter. But that was the moment where for me, it was dark, it was rainy. I tried to check in after a long day and it was really already off-putting for me. And I think this is also something not only to capture the revenue, but also make me feel safe in a moment where everything is automated. You feel kind of like vulnerable, and you want to know, okay, is everything is gonna be okay? And in that moment, that was something that was really off-putting for me. Even though everything else was really nice, the room was beautiful and big, and I had everything I needed. That was something where I said, okay, this needs to change for this property for sure.
Yeah, that's a very, very good and spot on example. And it could be a huge gap between a guest journey that has a lot of friction versus a frictionless guest journey. Small details that make the entire difference. Great. Thanks for sharing, Julia. I have, if we move along in the guest journey and bring up something from the in-stay phase, what we see at BookBoost and to my experience, it often that communication stops or stay operational. Well time in messages can increase spend and improve satisfaction without being intrusive. And here I have one experience and one example that happened a few weeks ago. I'm a hotel nerd. I travel a lot. I stay at many hotels. And this time I checked in, and approximately 1 hour after I checked in, I received a WhatsApp message saying, "Hey Anna, our bar has live music tonight, and as a guest, cocktails are discounted." And guess what happened? I went straight to the bar, a win for both. So that message was relevant. It was sent to me at the right time and also via a channel I use. So I would say to make that like you should see your guest, make them feel seen throughout the entire guest journey, and you can do that in different ways. But if we just bring up something quickly here for also the post-stay phase, I would say see your guest as a returning potential instead of treating them as a one-off. Thoughtful life cycle communication will enhance guest satisfaction and improve loyalty.
I so agree. I absolutely agree that this, like every step of the way needs to be seen as, as a revenue point at one side, but also to make the guests feel happy and to feel welcomed, really. But let's take one step back and go back to Hampus, because I thought about something and I thought this could be a great question. So if we go back to the website yet again, if a hotel could improve like one thing on their website to capture that intent to book and to feel happy about the choice, what would that be for you?
Yeah, I think we align pretty well here. So smart messaging and digital personalization really is the key. So my answer would simply be how the website understands and reacts to the intent in real time. I think the best example that I can give is the one everyone knows, Booking.com. I circle back there. So when you browse on Booking.com, their site, it doesn't just sit still, it reacts to you. I'll give you some examples and listen carefully now, and then go into Booking.com and see if you have the same experience. So first, if you hesitate, you will see a flash sale or an urgency message. you will. If you move between 2 or 3 nights, you will be shown a longer stay benefit. And if you seem unsure, for example, free cancellation will be displayed just to reduce that risk, especially if you're traveling overseas. And one more, if you leave the search completely, you will be notified of all of these perks or benefits, either through the notification on the app, if you have it online on the phone, or in an email. So bear in mind, this is not random. This is all based on AI intent signals or algorithms, if you like. So compare this to your website, to a hotel's website. I would argue for that you treat all the visitors the same way. So even though the guest arrives with different, let's say, different motivations to book or flexibility, price sensitivity, etc. What I want to make sure that I give out the right point here is hotels can already today use these algorithms to decode intent and put smart messages in real time. So this means who the guest is, how close are they to making a booking, whether they need urgency, maybe reassurance, maybe added value. So one thing that I think is really essential as well, are they willing to stay 3 nights instead of two? But they might end up booking two just because of price, for example. So based on this, the website can adapt automatically. And this is not an experimental technology. It is available for hotels today. And it's simply the same machine learning logic that the OTAs have been using to win your bookings for the past almost 10 years. So yeah, the technology is available. You just have to apply it.
Absolutely. I love like this comes back to the example that I did before. Like my booking journey is exactly kind of what I do is I go on booking.com, I research for potential hotels that I really could be a fit, and then I go on the website of the hotel. And if something is off there, I go straight back to booking.com and book there. But if they have a really like everything is adapting to what I actually need, that is the point where they win me over and where I book. I mean, I'm in hospitality. I always try to book direct instead of booking.com. But yeah, this is definitely something that I do a lot, and that gives you like that kind of pushes also your argument there for sure. And when you say when we talk about the intent signals, do you have a few examples that hotels should pay attention or could pay attention without making it too crazy, too complicated for them?
Yes, I can make it very complicated, but I'm gonna try to simplify this. I can talk about this for hours. I want to keep it revenue focused. So some intent signals, I would say first would be landing page. Knowing where the guest is coming from is already a big difference. It says a lot. Is it a local versus overseas? The landing page should have a different approach. I want to go back to length of stay because I think this is such a big revenue opportunity here. Imagine having a technology that can tell you that a specific user is willing to stay 3 nights rather than two in the very moment that they are searching. So once again, the technology is available. One more on the top of my mind, let's talk about discounts. I see hotels throwing out discounts to everyone just to win the booking. Fact check, not everyone needs a discount. Some people do, but you can allow algorithms to decide this for you based on intent. And all of this, I think we can sum up with a simple statement. Hotels sell an experience. OTAs sell bed and breakfasts. So if you fix the drop-off point, so you convert more on your website, there's so much more you can do when it comes to intent signals to increase revenue. Dining, spa treatment, activities. I know it's very big in the Nordics. Room upgrades, anything cross-selling, upselling, I think is really important. So it doesn't necessarily always make you convert better, but you can bring more value to those converted bookings. And I think this is essential for hotels, and you need to pay attention to this.
Absolutely. This is where my revenue heart, starts to beat faster, and where I really get hearts in my eyes. Because me coming from revenue management, this is exactly where we always try to go, right? We always try to go, okay, you need to increase your room revenue, but there is also so much that you can capture from other revenue streams in the hotel, which we still don't do that well. And I think when we put now your part and Anna's part all together, and bridge that kind of, book boost and the hotels network, how this all comes together, this brings me kind of to a question that I have again for Anna. So if you would have to pick one moment when we talk about guest journey and intent and everything, one moment in the guest journey where communication makes the biggest difference, is it pre-stay, in-stay, post-stay? Which would you choose and why?
Okay, personally, I would choose the pre-stay phase, not only because this is where you set the expectations, but also because your guest data is often limited. You need to focus on collecting data, creating engagement, and also building a relationship. And here it's important to shift from sending more messages to sending better time ones with relevant content. Segmentation is key based on data insights. So make your communication matter and tailor your content to each guest at every interaction.
Yeah.
And as a hotelier, you can apply a few different key principles. For example, let guest behavior decide when you communicate. This means fewer messages, but each message has a clear purpose. Another one could be keep one message to one action. This keeps communication helpful rather than noisy. And another one could be stop when there is no signal. Intent isn't something you force, it's something you respond to. So the goal isn't to stay on top of the inbox, it's to show up at the right time with something that your guest actually cares about. And always remember, guests don't disengage with you because hotels communicate with them. They disengage because communication isn't relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the pre-stay is the moment where I really when I come to a hotel, I really can stay, like, be super excited about it, right? You can make me so hyped about staying with you that I cannot hold myself, you know. And if that moment passes, and if that moment is over the top or just annoying, then that whole stay is already kind of tinted by the or taunted by that message. I absolutely agree. Is there one pre-stay message that you think of almost every hotel should be sending out and they still don't?
Mm, yes. And as I mentioned earlier, I travel quite a lot and I stay at many hotels.
Mm,
And often I'm very surprised that I don't receive a specific question pre-stay to make me also prepared for the stay. And that message or question is how can we make your stay better? It's a very simple question, but still very powerful. I think you should always invite your guests to tell what they want and what's important for them. Instead of just sending, for example, information about where to park your car without even knowing if they will arrive by car. Like make them want to engage with you,
mm,
interact with you, get to know them, understand their intent, the reason, the purpose, the behavior. Because when you do that, you can also, as we said before, profit from personalization, but you can really be that local friend and build that bridge between your brand and the guest, strengthen loyalty, increase satisfaction. There are so many benefits that come with it. And if you manage to capture this right, you will capture intent while the guests are still planning. You will create more personal experience for your guest before arrival. You have the entire guest journey to make a difference. So start early. You will also be able to drive incremental revenue without being pushy because you are that local friend and you support them with information without sort of squeezing them into a corner. And here I have a real example from a brand I follow, a brand I like, and the brand is community focused. And I heard this from a friend the other day. The location of the property is a 90-minute train ride out of the nearest city. Most of their guests, they arrive by train. The day of arrival, the guest receives a playlist to get in the right mood. And very often, when the guests walk into the hotel, they say, "Hey, thank you for the playlist. It feels like my journey started already before when I listened to the music, like already before I stepped in here." And in our industry, we create moments and long-lasting memories. And here I would like to highlight that technology should support when creating human connections, the true
Absolutely.
foundation of our industry.
Yeah.
I love
And
that
Julia,
example.
so to answer your question, I would say the most valuable pre-stay message isn't informational. It's intentional and it is conversational.
And emotional for sure. Absolutely. I agree with you. I love that example. I know exactly the property you're talking about. I love them a lot. And the playlist is really cool. You should listen to it. So before we sum everything up, I also would like to get back to our audience and ask them a question that is on my heart. So we prepared a second poll. You should see it now. It is about which part of the guest communication feels the hardest for you to get actually right. Is it really pre-stay, as Anna told you about? Like, what are the moments that you want to create before they arrive? The in-stay messages, post-day when the guest is already out of the door? Is it upsells without being too pushy, or is it doing it all without the extra work that we need to put in anyway? So let's see what the answers are and what you think is the hardest part. Pre-stay, as we thought. I think as well, pre-stay is definitely the one that is really hard to get it right without, overdoing it or without underdoing it. There is always no right or wrong. It really depends also on your property and who you are, who you identify, who your guests are. But I think like little things like the playlist, if you are about community, if you are about lifestyle and so on, could be already a good start. So this is really cool. Thank you for answering. And so let's go back and sum everything up in our last question, and this question is going to be for both of you. So if a hotel does only one thing to improve conversion to repeat stay guests this year, what do you think should it be? And Hampus, let's start with you.
Right. So I would say right communication, personalized at the right moment. So particularly for conversion, please don't be afraid to use algorithms to understand who your website visitors are, and also allow, once again, AI or algorithms to interact with that visitor on your website at the right time, relevant for that individual. So really, my recommendation to sum it up is to find companies that offer personalization tools.
Absolutely. And Anna, what do you think? What should it be?
Yeah, it's also aligned with Hampus' answer. I would say personalize your guest communication and create a guest journey that talks to every guest at the right time via their preferred communication channel.
Absolutely. I agree with you both. I'm on it with you. But before we have one more minute, so maybe we can get our audience also back in to drop us some questions and see if there are any questions popping up. And I think we have
Yeah,
some questions.
we
So
do. I have one already. So this one is a quite good one. Can you give us a guest journey map using emails, SMS, WhatsApp? At what stage to send, use emails, SMS, and what the content, so upsell, useful tips, arrival info, etc. So can you give a guest journey map?
Anna, because you're our
It
expert.
sounds like a question for me. Appreciate it. And I'm thinking how to. It's quite broad, of course, and guest journeys look different. They should also look different because we have different needs. And it's not just from a brand perspective, not also, of course, from a guest perspective. But I would say uh, communicate and reach your guests where they are. So, meaning make it easy to stay engaged, connective, and to interact. That means you should not stay and be stick to just one channel. For example, very early in the guest journey, when you communicate the booking confirmation, that is often sent via email. Nothing wrong with that. But the faster you can move to a more instant channel, the more likely you are to improve conversion, to improve click-through rates, and so forth. And we know, for example, if we make a reservation, I'm not going to make this answer too long. I could go on forever, but for example, right before you check in, or the closer you are to check in at least, if you have made a reservation using your corporate or business email and you travel for leisure purposes, maybe you are not so likely to look in your inbox to read email. You want to feel like I'm on a vacay. So if you then receive a message relevant for the pre-stay phase and you open it after you have checked in, or even worse, checked out, it's no longer relevant. It's like you need to we say personalization is about relevance, timing, and channel choice. So just to sum it up, there are recent markets, brands, depending on where you operate, where maybe WhatsApp should be prioritized before SMS or the other way around and have email as a fallback. And it depends on many different criteria.
Yeah.
But recommendation, use more than one channel and
Yeah.
understand who your guests are.
Absolutely. And I think before you even do that, to prepare the map, I think you need to make sure to understand who your guests are. You know, if you're only focusing on leisure, and you need to check, okay, what kind of like what generations are coming to you? Are they generation WhatsApp, Instagram, TikTok, and so on and so forth? Then potentially WhatsApp is a better option. I'm not saying that older people are not on WhatsApp. I think they are, and most of them are, but they are more likely to check their emails and to read through every information that you have. So you have to kind of map out who your guests are and what their potential, what they actually want. I think we have one more question. We are a
Yeah,
little bit over time, but I think that question is actually quite interesting.
yes, I was just gonna say as well, if you all will allow us just to finish this question because I think it's a really good one. This is Anna for you as well. In stay, if you are a small boutique hotel, then it can feel kind of creepy to get a message by WhatsApp if you are already staying at the property. Do you think so? And is it better to do it in person, maybe through phone, a note, etc.?
Good question. And a bad answer is it depends, but it does. You need to, as Julia mentioned, and as we have talked about, you need to understand who your guests are, their needs and preferences, and behavior, patterns, and so forth. You also need to understand your brand and who you would like to be and match it. So I would say not everyone goes down to the reception. And not everyone would like to interact in person. We're an industry where we have built up this true foundation of connection, but the connection doesn't always have to be in person. So I would say a WhatsApp message with the right intent, and it feels like it's for me, can never be wrong. But without saying that if that guest doesn't use WhatsApp, you need to have a fallback strategy.
Yeah.
So, answer is yes and no, but in general, make what matters for your guest, for you, and for your brand, and match it and create that superior experience throughout the entire guest journey.
The best advice I got throughout my 15 years in hospitality is treat your guests as your whole family. You should be able to cater to your grandmother, to your infant, to your daughter, to your husband, to your wife, because obviously your grandmother doesn't use WhatsApp, but maybe your teenager does in this very case. So treat it as the whole family. This is the best advice I've
I
ever.
love
Nice
that.
one. Mhm.
That's great last words to sum it all up and to close our webinar at this point. So treat everybody always as a family, because I think we need that nowadays a lot. So thank you so much, you two, for joining me at this webinar. It was so much fun.